Hello everyone, I am the Game here and welcome to a bonus episode of Super Mario Galaxy. There were a couple things I didn't cover throughout the game or wasn't able to cover at the time because it unlocked after the final battle, so here's what I missed throughout the Let's Play. For starters, after beating Bowser with 120 stars, you unlock Luigi to play as. Luigi isn't just being forced to play through the game again with Mario dressed in green, he actually has some differences in gameplay. Instead of starting at the Star Festival, you'll instead start at the gateway to the Starry Skies and go straight into the first level. You can jump higher, run faster, but at the disadvantage of sliding on the floor whenever he stops because he's too fast. I will say it's helpful to move faster throughout the game in general, but annoying when you happen to be running towards a pit with a black hole and slip off by accident. He also swims a little faster when he spins, but with the cost of his spinning underwater requiring oxygen. And when you save Luigi in Ghosty Galaxy, you are in fact still saving Luigi, which leads to some funny dialogue that features a small existential crisis. Despite the levels being exactly the same, Luigi is a cool award and fun to play as overall. What happens if you beat the game as him? Beating the game with 100 stars in both Mario and Luigi unlocks the Grand Finale Galaxy. It will sit on the top of the Trial Galaxy, and entering it takes you to the Star Festival. Except now with purple coins. No timer, no enemies, just a walk through the Star Festival. With purple coins. I guess it's kinda cool to see people you met on your journey, friends and enemies alike, but this finale feels kinda underwhelming. There's something less interesting about the final level if every inch of it isn't trying to kill you. Compared to later entries for 3D Mario final levels, this is a bit of a letdown, but still a really cool sight to see and maybe a nice break after the chaos you've struggled through to get here. After being the grand finale, Meltoad sends a nice little letter to your Wii menu with a congratulatory message, as well as an image. Being as Mario gets you a nice picture of him and Peach with some Lumas in Good Day Galaxy, and being as Luigi gets you a much nicer image of him, Rosalina, and the Toad Brigade in front of Peach's castle. Both of these aren't much, but a cool award for essentially getting 242 stars in the game. But, I know what you're thinking, this whole experience might feel underwhelming, but that's because it's not multiplayer. Well, don't worry, Super Mario Galaxy has you covered. I feel gypped. Multiplayer mode is nothing special. Actually, let me rephrase that. Multiplayer mode is nothing and shouldn't have been included in the game at all. If you lived in my house and had Super Mario 3 installed on your Wii like my family did, you probably remember the multiplayer from that. You played the level, died, then player 2 would take over as Luigi. It wasn't much, but it was something, and it was the last Mario title to allow two players to play the actual levels together. Now you can argue New Super Mario Bros. On DS had multiplayer, but that was a competitive play that can be more akin to the original Mario Bros. Arcade game than any of the actual platformers. So if you saw the mark on the back of the game case that said you could play with two Wii remotes, you were like, finally a new Mario game that allows two players. Even if it's the same thing from Super Mario Bros. 3, it would still be cool to compete with a friend to see who's better at the levels. But then you got this. Player 2 just being a second porter that got to pick up Starbits, and you couldn't help but feel like you should ask for your money back and go play Wii Sports instead. Now look, I know not many people come to Mario games for the multiplayer, especially 3D Mario games. But you can't help but feel robbed. All Player 2 can do is collect Starbits, shoot Starbits, and make Mario jump whenever by putting the cursor over him, and pressing A. Which was the most fun you can get out of this mode because it allowed you to mess with player 1 while they were trying to play because they forced you to play in this super mode instead of playing a new copy of Smash Brothers, Daniel. It isn't anything worth playing with, maybe as a personal challenge, see how well you can play using a second player to jump, or maybe have player 2 run interference while playing, but that's about all it's good for. And that about covers what I couldn't cover gameplay wise, which means there's only one thing left. Throughout the game, we've been unlocking chapters in Rosalina's storybooks by collecting stars. I didn't go into this as it came out because I thought it would be best if it was read all at once. So now, in its full glory, Rosalina's story.
Let us begin.
Let us begin. Chapter 1, The Celestial Duo. Our story begins a very, very long time ago with a young girl. One day, this girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. "What's your name? Are you lost?" the girl asked the star child. "I'm Luma, and I'm waiting for my mama. She's coming for me on a comet," said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. "Don't worry, I promise I'll wait with you," the little girl promised Luma. At nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but she saw nothing. Hours turned into days, and then years, but still the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, "If we stay here looking much longer, I'll be an old lady soon." But then, she had an idea. "Why don't we go out there and find your mother ourselves?" The little girl and Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship, and then the two set sail into the starry sky. And this is how the search for the celestial mother began. Chapter 2. Starbits. Days passed with no sight of a comet or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye could see. "If I had known it was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam," said the little girl, above the rumble of her belly. Before they left, she had packed all the essentials: telescope, butterfly net, stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavored tea. But I forgot to bring water. At this, Luma burst into gales of laughter, and the girl began to pout. "As long as I have starbits, I'll be fine," said Luma. "Want some?" The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. "Alright, maybe just a nibble." Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect starbits with the girl's net. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. The starbits tasted like honey. Chapter 3. The Comet. A beam of light pierced through the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered through the window, only to find a turquoise-blue comet shimmering at her. The little girl shook the sleeping Luma awake and shouted excitedly, "We have to get to that comet!" The pair descended on the comet and found that it was made of ice. It looked high and low, but Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. "Look!" Peering down at the icy ground where Luma was pointing, the girl suddenly noticed clusters of starbits encased in the ice. "Pretty good, huh? Finding starbits is my specialty," said Luma, beaming. "There's ice here, but it's so warm, I'll bet there's water here too." The two decided to stay on the comet for a while. Riding the turquoise comet, the pair continued their search for Luma's mother. Chapter 4. The Dream. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. "Where are you going?" she asked, her mother's retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, "Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night." A wave of sadness washed over the girl. "What about when it rains and I can't see the sun or the moon?" Her mother thought for a moment before responding. "I will turn to a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry." When she awoke, the girl's face was damp with tears.
You have starbits in your eyes, the Luma said to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, These are tears, not starbits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother ever again. At this, Luma began to cry too. Mama, oh Mama, wah. The pair traveled to the starry skies, and though they encountered many other comets, not one of them held Luma's mother. Luma was despondent. Now, Luma, the rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying, the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. I'll give you a present if you stop. The girl closed her eyes and said, gently, I'll take care of you. With these words, she felt a small spark in her heart. Chapter 5. Home. The kitchen will go there, and the library will go over there, the girl said busily to herself. We'll put the gate here. Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she'd been bustling about at a feverish pace. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home. It turned out that starbits weren't the only thing buried in the ice. They were tools and furniture, unlike any they had ever seen, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, Don't you think it's awfully big for just the two of us? With a library, bedroom, kitchen, fountain, and gate, it was certainly spacious, but still, something seemed to be missing. If only my father, brother, and mother were here, the girl said wistfully. Indeed, the house was too large for its two small residents. That night, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep on the starship. Chapter 6. Friends. Then one day, while the girl sat sipping tea, a tiny apricot-colored planet appeared on the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same color emerged. Do you two know each other? The girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girl's excitement, they seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor backed away from each other. Instead, they just stared. Then one Luma broke the silence. My mama! At once the apricot Luma parroted back. My mama! My mama! My mama! My mama! The two Lumas began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any sign of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene that she couldn't help but laugh, and that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly more Lumas began to pop out from the apricot planet. They were different colors, but they all shouted the same thing. My mama! My mama! The sight of all the shining Lumas only made the girl laugh harder. What am I going to do with all these children? The Luma stared blankly as she doubled over laughing. I guess I'll have to name each and every one of you. Tomorrow, once she had finished naming them all, she would begin moving all the Lumas into the new house. Chapter 7. The Telescope. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped into the girl's head. I wonder if my home planet is still as blue as it was. That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into a telescope, a tiny blue dot floated into sight. It was smaller than a starbit. How strange. It's so far away, but it feels so close. She twisted a knot of the telescope, and the blue dot grew until she could make out a grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Zooming even closer, a terrace on the hill came into view. I used to go stargazing there when I lived on my home planet. She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how she and her brother would sled down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on that hill on bright and windy days. And I want to go home. I want to go home right now. The girl burst into tears, and the Lumas didn't know what to do. I want to go home. I want to go back to my house by the hill. I want to see my mother. The girl was shouting now. Her face was wet with tears. But I know she's not there. I knew all along that she wasn't out there in the sky. Because she's sleeping under the tree on the hill. The girl's cries echoed through the stars and a hush fell over the area. Chapter 8. The Wish. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew close and tried to comfort her. Mama, you still have me. And don't be sad about your mama, because she's part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love Starbits because they remind me of my mama. No, no, the girl said, unable to stop the tears. A lonely look flickered across Luma's face, but was soon replaced with a wide grin. I have an idea. I'll transform into a comet. A soaring comet that can carry you all on this journey. With that, Luma trailing bands of white, soared high into the sky, and just as quickly started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook, and a bright light poured out of the crater that the Luma had created. The band of light twisted together to form a comet tail, and then Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes. But how? She kept asking. Our destiny as Lumas is to transform into different things, said a red Luma, who had suddenly appeared. Stars, comets, planets, we can become all of these things. When I grow up, I want to become a star that makes someone special smile, said a green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in. That Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he? All the Lumas together said, No more crying, Mama. Thank you, said the girl in a whisper, and she pulled the Lumas close and hugged them. From that day on, Starbits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. The comet set forth for the girl's home planet, its long tail blazing proudly behind it. Final chapter. Family. With its many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite a sight to behold. The girl and the Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for a new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said in a louder voice than usual, Alright everyone, let's make a cake sprinkled with starbits, and then it will be a star cake. The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Lumas scurry about, the girl smiled and thought to herself, This is my family now, and I'll stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do leave, I'll see them off with a smile, because that's what makes a mother happiest. That night, when the girl lay down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home. But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to nap in my favorite sleeping nook. The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continues on its journey to this very day. With more family members in tow than can be counted, it says that the comet visits the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glittering in the sky. The end.